Hey guys, welcome to WeirdBeardKustom, where this week we were going to be doing some pinstriping. I know, crazy, right? Crazy that I've been on here for all these years, and I've shown you guys a lot of, time-lapse type stuff. But as far as like an actual breakdown, beginner type, this is how you start, this is what you do, the basics, that's not something I've ever showed you guys. So I thought, while I'm waiting on paint to arrive for the tank that we've been working on, I thought, why not? Why not? Like, it's something that people have asked for, but it's not something we've really ever done. So stick around. We're gonna sling some paint on this toolbox.
Warning. My dad is just an average idiot. He is in no way, shape, or form a professional. So do not do what he does. This video is for entertainment purposes only. Remember, don't do dumb stuff.
So pinstriping 101, the basics. What do you need to know? What do you need to have? Like, what does it take to actually have what you need to get started? It's really quite simple. There isn't a whole lot that you need. And you know what? Let me put this down. And well, first of all, this is what was done so far on the lid of the toolbox, and I'm just doing more to match this. So let's don't mind the turkey baster there. That was from a power steering job I did. Anyway, let's go over just basics. What do you need to have to start? Paint, reducer, brushes. That's pretty much where everybody has to begin, right? So this is my leftover from yesterday. Ooh, that's a little. First thing I need to do is clean my brush from yesterday, because I still had a little bit of paint in it and didn't realize it. So if you're not familiar, the majority of pinstriping is done with a sword. These brushes are blue squirrel hair. To the best of my knowledge, they're in Asia somewhere, but it's what they've used to make these brushes since they've been making these brushes. Me personally, I go with MAC. It's the brand that I swear by. And most of the time when you order a brush kit, it's gonna come with a little assortment. Like, this is a 1 and this is a 000, and this one's smaller than this one. Like, from 1 up, like 1, 2, 3, 4, the numbers get bigger, the sizes get bigger, and the aughts and the back end of it there, that's how they get smaller. A 000 and a quadruple 0, I think, might be about the smallest I've seen. And think about it this way: the smaller the brush is, the finer the line is the way that it's supposed to work out. Now, granted, we all have our style once you get started, to where I generally pull more of a fatter line than a lot of people. You know, I have a very traditional, very old school style. That's the funny thing about pinstriping, is it's a lot like music. Like, there's nothing you can do that hasn't been done before. Sorry. It's just been around too long, and too many people have done it, and there's only so much anyone can do. So basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna develop your own style based on a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Like, the best thing I can tell you is just go watch all the videos you can find. Like, I know that this isn't unique. Like, my video about teaching you how to pinstripe, you can find hundreds of those on here. You're watching this because it's me, and you know me, and so you get what I'm saying, right? So basically, you watch a bunch of videos, you see different stuff that other people are doing, and you're like, oh, I like that. Well, I think I can make that, and it just kind of melds into whatever your style is. I'm one of the lucky few that got into this in a time when it was still, I wouldn't say in any way popular, but at least more prevalent. You know, for years, I took one of the hot rods that I'd built to Cincinnati for the Cavalcade of Customs. And at the Cavalcade of Customs, they would do a pinstripers auction every year where 10s, 20s, I missed, 30 so pinstripers would come in from all around the country, and we would pinstripe and paint art that would be auctioned off for local benefit. And unfortunately, it's something that about 10 years ago, Cavalcade decided, oh, well, you know what, that's not making us any money, so we're going to do away with it. And it's sad, because there used to be so many different panel jams and auctions and that type of stuff where pinstripers would get together, and that's how I learned so much. You know, I'd been striping for a couple of years when I went down there and did it for the first time, so I was pretty novice. But rubbing shoulders with the Egyptian and Todd Hansen and some of the best in the business, I learned a lot by watching. And unfortunately, that's just something that just doesn't exist anymore. But my goal is to take some of that knowledge I have and teach it to you guys, because I don't know. The pinstriping world, that's another thing I will say. There's two types of pinstripers: those who play well with others and those who don't. And I personally got started into it because I paid a guy that I met at a car show to pinstripe a motorcycle that I was building, and I watched him do it and thought, I could do that. And what's funny is he encouraged me. Actually, he even gave me a couple brushes, a little bit of paint. And then when I got good real fast, then we were competition, and we weren't friends no more, because that's how some of them are. I'm not that way. I've gone to Daytona, I've gone to countless motorcycle shows where I will set up shoulder to shoulder with another striper, and we'll stay busy the whole time. That's how it should be. A lot like the tattoo industry, you might think. So anyway, where do we start? We start with your pinstriping brush, some paint, and some reducer. Me personally, for this project, we're going with a couple different colors of blue. I use custom shop paint. I started using this about 3 years ago. Of course, I used One Shot from the beginning, because One Shot is the OG pinstriping sign painter's paint. But unfortunately, after PPG took them over, it changed. Like, I hate to say it just... Let me show you this. For me, the biggest change was when the entire label went from this much advertising what it is, and the rest of it is warnings. I get it. It used to have lead in it. It doesn't anymore. I don't see why it needs to be like this. And I also don't understand why the quality, just basically the straw that broke the camel's back was I had paint that just wouldn't dry. I had this one whole can of purple that it didn't matter what I put it on, it would just stay tacky. Even when I used hardener in it, it would stay tacky. And I saw this kit that I was able to get from TCP Global, because that's who I buy 99% of my stuff through. Like, it used to be that Dick Blick, a local art store that we have in Columbus, carried One Shot and brushes and whatnot, and over the years it's just dwindled off to where I think they still have One Shot. I don't know if they have anything else, but bottom line, TCP Global, one-stop shop for all pinstriping, airbrushing, paint needs. I bought the custom shop kit that came with like basically every color that they have. Here, I'll show you. When I bought the kit, it came with all of these colors, some brushes, just some basics. It came with hardener, it came with reducer, and for the most part, I like it. But it was an adjustment because it uses a acetone-based reducer instead of mineral spirits, which is what I always used before. Like with One Shot, I was able to I thinned, I cleaned, I did everything with mineral spirits. And with the custom shop, because this is more of an auto body paint than it is a lettering paint. Like sign painter's paint, auto body paint. Does it work perfectly for what I use it for? Yes, because, you know, that's what it's designed for. But it dries so much faster, so much harder than one shot. You know, I made comment in my last video on the paint on the tank about how it wrinkled. This won't. Like, specifically when you're clearing over this stuff is fantastic because it just dries so fast. So go to TCP Global, get yourself one of the kits. They have tons of them. Like, they have this one, they have this one, this one. Like, there's all kinds of different ones you can choose from, oh, I'm committed to this and I'm buying everything I'm gonna need, versus just a couple colors, just a couple brushes, just what you need to get started. It just depends on the level of commitment you want to make. But ultimately, it's practice. It's practice, practice, practice. And I'm using a piece of metal right now to paint on because it's not practice for me. But for you, a piece of glass is the best thing you can use. Like an old picture frame, take the glass out, get some thin line tape and tape off a grid on the back of the glass so that you have your reference for symmetry. Like that grid on the back of the glass, you can paint on the top of the glass and you can see the grid through it to know how it's coming out. But then you can also take that piece of glass and you can use a razor blade to just scrape the paint off once it's dried. So, best practice surface, glass. Do not practice on something you care about. Like that was a hard lesson learned. Because when I first started, I wanted to put lines on everything that would sit long enough for me to paint it. And I had a 67 Chevy C10 that was flat black with red wheels and white walls, this truck right here. And I did the hood and the tailgate, and the first actual piece I ever did was actually the glove box door. And I'm here to tell you, it was so bad. Like, it was embarrassing to the point to where I ended up selling that truck. So even though when you first start, you're going to be really proud of yourself, and you should be. When you start getting consistent lines, awesome. When you do your first piece that looks symmetrical, awesome. But just know this, you're going to get better, and you're going to be better than that. And you won't want that to be what people see. I mean, there's a reason why musicians don't start recording and putting out albums when they first learn how to play guitar or shouldn't. You know what I mean? So practice, 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 practice. All right. Well, I shouldn't have done that. That was kind of loud. All right. So let's give a basic little like how to start. First of all, on your surface, you want it clean. Obviously, you're putting paint down, and that will include removing any kind of wax that's on it. Like if you've got a painted surface like this right here, if it's had brake fluid spilled on it, paint won't stick. If it's got wax on it, paint won't stick. If it's got any kind of like grease, you name it, paint won't stick. It has to be clean. Myself, I use some of my reducer on just a little rag, and I wipe it down, and then I use Windex. Windex with alcohol, like get the clear kind that's mostly alcohol. That will remove the majority of common dirt, lint, grease, wax. Like for the most part, it's what I use on motorcycles and on regular paint of any kind when I'm prepping it, because you don't want something too harsh. I will admit that the blue on this toolbox, it's nice, but it's not automotive quality. and I wiped it down with a thinner, and it made it a little dull. And that's something you don't want to do, because I didn't realize that, okay, well, this isn't, this is more of like a powder coat, I think, to be honest. I don't know. All I know is it needs to be clean, and when your finger squeaks on it, you know it's clean. So clean your surface, prep it for paint, and then you are going to want a Stabilo pencil. These come in all different colors, from yellow, red, black. Personally, the white one's my favorite because it doesn't smudge as bad. Like the black I've seen, it'll end up smudging if you run your finger across it. But what this is this is a pencil that you can mark on just about anything. It literally says on the pencil, paper, glass, plastic, metal, and you can paint right over it. Like when you're done, Windex, wipe it down, this will disappear. But because you can paint right over it, it's not something you have to worry about affecting what you're doing. But think of pinstriping as as this half and that half, and mirroring them. And because of that, you want a center line from here to here, like from here to here, and then you want your center line from here to here. And I'll admit, I've been doing this long enough. For the most part, I'm an eyeball. Like, I would venture to bet that those marks I just made are within a 1/16 of an inch of being dead set center. Oh, I thought my wife took my tape measure. The lid is 30.5, and I got it on, well, what do you say? You think that's dead center? 15.25? Half of 30.5? Like, 15.25? Oh, the bottom one was off by a 1/4 of an inch. I'm losing it. I'm losing it, people. I'm not as perfect as I thought I was. But I eyeball. I like to. So you're going to hit those lines, and then you're going to want a few out from there too. You know, go, let's say 6 inches from the outside in. And then another 5 inches. And then from here, we'll do the same. We'll go 6 from the edge, hit an 11, and then down from here. You're giving yourself reference points to keep yourself in check on symmetry. You know, you could, with the Stabilo pencil, you could draw a whole damn grid on it. I've done it before. I don't recommend it though, because that much of the pencil will mess with your pinstriping. And I made the mistake one time when I was just learning of using a white Stabilo on flat black paint on the back of my buddy's 1932 Ford. And and he was cool because I was learning, but it was in the hot sun, and guess what? Marks didn't come off. It happens. Another reason why I practice before you start painting on anything that, you know, is valuable, not only to you, but maybe somebody else. So we've gone across this way. Now let's go across the other way. Let's hit a few up and down, all right? Because with this piece, we'll do 6 in. 6 in. Because of the way the top of this is, I want most of the pinstriping to be pretty centered, because you're going to look at this. Literally, I've done it so long just eyeballing that I have trouble using tape measure because I'm used to just eyeballing. But because you'll see this down as well as up, there's not really going to be a top or bottom, if that makes sense. Because if I'm standing on this side looking at the box this way, I don't want to literally look at it and say, oh, well, that's upside down. Make sense? So we've got it gridded off. What's next? What's next is paleting the brush. Paleting your brush is where you take your clipboard and your little, thingies here. Now I will say that you will see people that use a Dixie cup. Everybody has a different technique and style. Me personally, this is mine. You can look at my clipboard. This is an old Amico clipboard from when I used to haul oil for ExxonMobil. And I've had this as long as I've been pinstriping. Paleting. What is it even? Okay. In essence, it's the art of putting the paint in the brush in the consistency that you're going to need in order to pull proper lines. It is all about brush drag and paint consistency. So me personally, I will put a little bit of solvent, thinner, whatever, reducer, whatever you want to call it, in one of my little cups. And then I use glossy magazines. There are people that are going to say use a phone book. Again, everybody's different preference. Me personally, I like a glossy magazine because the paint doesn't soak in to the magazine. So from page to page, literally, this is a Amazon Christmas book. That's it. And I just use a page and tear it off and throw it away. And it's always worked for me. But as far as paleting, basically, take your paint, squeeze a little bit onto your surface there. Another reason why I like the Custom Shop, because they come in these very easy to use bottles, even though I always still manage to get a little bit on my finger. Like, I cannot tell you how many paint jobs I've done where afterwards I've had to go around and wipe off fingerprints because I got just a little dab on a pinky or here or there and didn't realize every time I was putting my finger down, I was leaving paint behind. Even joked about making it my signature for a while. But you're going to work your brush in the paint like so. And I'm flipping the brush this way, then this way. I'm flipping it every time I drag it. And believe it or not, temperature really, really makes a difference when it comes to pinstriping paint. I'll never forget the first time I went to Florida and striped it in Daytona at Bike Week. And the humidity changed everything. I could not get the consistency I liked, and it was bad. Like, you guys remember in 13 when Harley put out the Street Glide Special and the Road Glide Special that only came in flat black and only came with red pinstriping? That was good for me, because for several years I did dozens a year of just striping over the factory pinstriping to change the color, because it was the best way to make your bike unique. And I actually said for a long time that, you know what, I would just say it now. I would still like to have one of those. I'd still like to have the 13 Road Glide Special that was flat black that I could just paint the crap out of. But I was doing one down there during Daytona, and I laid that brush down for the first time, and I tell you what, it went, that stripe was not legitimately, it was a little wider than normal, but yeah, I struggled with it. So even right now where I'm in a garage, I do have a heater on. No, it's not the VVOR, because quite frankly, that VVOR only works on a car battery, and I don't have a spare car battery to use. So I've been using the good old trusty space heater here. And my garage is insulated and stuff. Long story short, it's probably about 55, 60 in here right now. And because of that, my paint is going to be a little thicker. And the surface that I'm painting on is colder than it is in the summertime. So you'll learn the more you practice, the longer you do it, that if you live in a place that has seasons, like Ohio, that as the weather changes, your amount of paint to thinner will have to change a little bit. You might have to use a little bit more when it's colder out and a little less when it's hot out. When it's hot out, the paint flows nice. And with the custom shop, you get different speeds of reducer. This is extra slow. This means that like this particular reducer is good for this type of stuff because you're not pulling super long lines. Like if I was doing striping down the side of a car, I would have extra fast, which just means that it changes that consistency enough to make the proper drag to pull the line consistent. That makes sense? So right now we're using the extra slow. Paletting the brush. I'm going to move this over to my table. Obviously I'm not going to leave it on the surface that I'm painting. I actually want to kick this up a little bit. I know it's going to make you guys hard for you to see it from there to here, but I got these to give you that. So don't think you're not going to see it. And we're going to go just kind of step by step. You know, this is one of those things too that when you're just learning, get comfortable. Make your workspace the right height for you. Make it so that it's a nice angle for you. There we go. Make it so that, you know, once you start pinstriping cars and motorcycles, you don't have the ability to walk around it and turn it around and do all this stuff. So learning from the beginning, you know, there's some awkward angles you got to get into to get that line. Like my most dreaded thing ever to paint is a dashboard on old cars. Looks great, but trying to get up on the top in where the glass is, and you can only get to it from one direction, you have to be very particular about the lines you choose and which directions you choose to go, because you might be able to pull it this way just fine, but when it comes to the other side doing it that way, you see what I'm saying? So get your workspace properly set up. I usually like having my table on the right. I'm putting it on the left right now because just because that's easier for me to get to everything. So we've got our center point. We've got our marks down. My brush is loaded. That feels good. It's a little thick. See how I'm just dipping the tip of the brush in the reducer? That's my technique. I dip the tip in, pull it through the paint until when I'm pulling it, I want just the slightest amount of drag. Like, you don't want it feeling tacky. You don't want it feeling slick. You want just a little bit of drag in your brush. All right, first lines. And then I try to do the left first, left and then right, because being right-handed, I can see the left while I'm pulling on the right. If you do it the other way, it makes it a little bit more difficult sometimes. I mean, honestly, do whatever feels best to you. That's just my personal opinion. And if you notice something isn't perfectly symmetrical, again, this is hand-painted art. There's no such thing as perfection. Get that out of your head to begin with. You know, there used to be a saying, if you want perfect, go buy a sticker. Still stands. Like, the goal is to get it as symmetrical as possible, but obviously within reason, you know. And I'm a paletter. Like, there are guys that can palette their brush and do half of something and then go back and repalette. I don't know if it's just because of the consistency that I prefer, but I literally will palette my brush in between every time it hits the surface and comes back up. That's my way of keeping my paint consistent and making sure that I'm getting the results that I want. You know what I mean? So, and some people will draw this out. Some people will draw out the design before they even started. I can't do that. It has to just kind of fall out of my head and literally just, I will pick each line as I go. And that's why sometimes I'll do something and go, ooh, I don't like that. And I'll wipe it off. And that's one thing with glossy surfaces. You can do that. Fair warning, whenever you're doing something on flat paint though, you gotta remember that you might not be able to do that. So just keep that in mind. I am literally pushing myself right now to try and come up with something that looks unlike anything I've done before, because I'm so bored with just doing the same design every time, or something similar to, if you will, that I am currently in a place right now of pushing myself to try and think differently. I will say that, you know, I've mentioned hot rods and stuff, and you guys mostly know me from bikes. It's a whole lot easier to go to a motorcycle event and get a whole line of people wanting bikes done than it is nowadays as far as people wanting hot rods done. Yeah, I still do them, but it's fewer and farther between. But I say that because I miss doing big deck lids and trunks and hoods, and it's the one thing with motorcycles that it just isn't as much surface space to do, you know, crazy big designs. Like, you know, that right there on my banner was the hood of my 68 C10, different truck, not the same one I was talking about earlier. But yeah, big stuff is fun. It pushes you to push your boundaries, and I don't know, maybe think outside the box a little bit. Personally, I like it when I see somebody else do something and I'm like, oh man, that's cool. I never thought of that before. See the left line? Yeah, that's why I like doing the left before the right. And I'll admit, I got a bit of a shadow messing with me with this light, but it'll be fun. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, I like getting inspiration from seeing other people do stuff. Like, I like seeing someone do a design that I'm like, oh, I never thought of that before. That's pretty cool. I might try and incorporate something like that. Again, it's not like it's plagiarism or any of that, or thievery, or, you know what I'm trying to say, right? It's just inspiration. Take your inspiration where you find it. See, I want to cheat right now. I'll go around this side, but I'm not going to let myself, because we are only working. But here I did it again. I went, yeah, I don't like that. Another reason why I'm doing the toolbox, by the way, is because I got some news for you guys that I had one of those moments. I haven't done blah 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 in quite some time. Maybe it's time to blah blah blah. You'll see. And I will tell you guys this much. The number one thing I tell people when they ask me what was the hardest thing to learn, it's the same answer: when to stop. And that is one of those things that you can do the most kick-ass piece and love it and be killer at it, and then overdo it and make it muddled and too busy and too much. Try to stick to just 2, maybe 3 colors. 2 colors is good because 2 colors gives you depth and it teaches you how to work between existing lines. But once you start getting way up there with a whole bunch of different colors, it's just going to get muddled and jumbled and look like a hay bale. So think of that. And then the other thing is darker color first. Always start with your darkest color and work your way up. And think of that as the depth. Shadow, bottom, bright, sun, top. Darkest color on bottom, lighter colors up top. Okay? Okay. I don't know. I'm struggling at the moment. I'm gonna take a break and step back. I'll be right back. Yeah, so I did what I do sometimes. I stood back and stared at it and went, I hate it. We all need practice. Everybody, it's normal. It's normal to stand back and go, I don't like it, wipe it off, start over. So practice, right? So let's bust out some of that color right quick, and then we'll work on a second color. So hang out, watch this. That works, right? That's something a little different. That's something I can stand back and say, I've never done that before. Do I love it? I don't know yet. But you know what? It's different. And now that's a good place to clean this and go with color number 2. So, how do you clean the brush? Take your, like this, right in the reducer that you were already using. And then you just take your paper towel and do this. That's it. Just do that a few times. Now, if you're switching colors completely, like if you were going from, say, this to a yellow, it's one of the advantages of having multiple brushes. But I'm funny and I get stuck on a brush. And I decide this is the brush I want to use, so I'm just going to clean it and reuse it. But you could use your reducer like I just did, and then once you've done that, here, take your paper towel, take your can, just pour a little bit right there on the ferrule, because if you don't know, that's what this part of the brush is called, the ferrule. And that's where the majority of your paint is going to stick when you're cleaning it. See that? So we'll just do that a little bit, wipe it, and yes, I do hold my brush in my mouth a lot. I've even gone so far to accidentally try and paint with my cigarette before. Because, yeah, I thought it was my brush. Trash can's over there. I'll throw that away in a minute. So we're going from that medium blue to a light blue. And when it comes to, first of all, you want to shake it a lot. I actually need to take a couple ball bearings and put in these, because it helps to get it shaken up. I'm going to clean out my little thing of reducer here. I like to just use a couple paper towels and just kind of soak it and twist it. And do that. Look at that. Pew. All right. In the trash can. Same as before. A little bit of reducer in the cup. A little bit of paint on magazine palette. Move, get out the way. About like that. A bit of that. There we go. We're reloading the brush. Second color. Flip, 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 flip. And you'll see just how much that second color makes a difference. It really adds to the depth of the project you're working on. And I purposely made that little like rocket ship because I wanted to do that. A little teardrop like this in the middle of it. And I will say when you're new to this, if you want to let your first color dry before attempting a second color, that's not a bad idea because it's going to help you to prevent from dragging your finger through paint you've already done. So I would actually go as far as to suggest it. I would go as far as to suggest let the first paint dry and then do the second color. That way, the other thing too is if you have any mistakes that, you know, you might want to wipe a little edge or something. If the other paint's dry, then you're not going to mess with it. By the way, did you guys notice this flannel? Isn't this nice? I had to wear this for this video because this is the Greasy Hand Society Pinstriper flannel. Like, that's what it's called. And so how could I not be sporting this while doing this? And if you guys haven't checked out Greasy Hands, I suggest you do. My favorite thing is, look, the sleeves, they don't pull up on you. You can ride in these. And they have like a little bit of a spandex to them. They're comfortable. Like, their flannels are the only flannels where I feel like I'm wearing them and I'm just wearing a hoodie or a sweatshirt or something more comfortable than a flannel. So, Greasy Hand Society, go there instead of the Dickens place. You won't regret it. All right. With the second color, you got to choose your lines very carefully because you don't want to get too close. You don't want to crowd. You want to complement. That's the whole goal of pinstriping. Complementing the surface and turning the surface itself into a piece of art. Like, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but Von Dutch, you know, the clothing company with the eyeball and the symbol. Yeah, Von Dutch is the originator of modern day pinstriping. This right here, what I'm doing, would not exist if it wasn't for Von Dutch, which is why the whole thing with the fashion just right under my skin. But what are you going to do? So Von Dutch originally, like the first pinstriping design was done on the hood of a Mercury, and it was a way of covering up the swirl marks from the sander because there were swirls in the paint. So he came up with an idea of how to do designs like this. Because yes, they were doing like straight line pinstriping ever since, you know, Ford was doing it in the factory, and, you know, well, let's say before that even, like wagons and stuff. Sign painters were doing it. But Von Dutch was the first one to go, hey, let's do some symmetrical designs and make it hot rod. See, you learned something. I warned you. So, and that squeak, by the way, that's not a bad thing. That's actually a good thing because it's just telling me that me dragging my finger across this surface, that it's actually a clean surface. Like, there's no paint, or not paint, dirt. There's no wax or anything on this surface I got to worry about because it's clean. That was a happy accident. I didn't mean to do these little teardrop things. I just got a little heavy on the brush, and did it over here, and then went, oh, well, that's kind of cool. Let's make that part of it. That's how pinstriping works. Happy accidents, as old Bob Ross used to say. Lots and lots of happy accidents. Good thing that happened after I'd already leaned up. That would have sucked. So if you guys have any questions, by the way, put them down in the comments. Like, I know I'm trying my best here, but I'm not a teacher. So, like, this is still kind of just me trying to think of everything y'all might need to know. But, like, I know I'm going to forget stuff. And I know that you're going to have questions. And that's one of the best things about the tubies of Ubies is that you can put your questions down below. And I can address them in future videos. Or next video, or just comment. I'm recovering from the flu. That's what I got for Christmas this year from Santa Claus. I got the flu. Like that. Sweet. All right. See, it's just this. That's all it is. Back and forth, back and forth. Where am I going to put the next line? Ooh, I don't know. Do I want to go this way or that way? Ooh, I don't know. Pick one. Pick one and then just go with it. And you never know. You might just impress yourself. I know I do. I know that there are times when I'm painting something and I'm just not feeling it. And then I do a couple little this and that's, and I'm like, sweet! Yes, that's what it needed. Battery in my glasses died, so you're just gonna have to just sit there and wait a minute. Just let me do this, and then I'll let you see it. You won't be disappointed. I hope not, at least. I mean, whatever, right? Ooh. Let's do this. Let's go this way. And then this way. And then we're going to do this. And then this. Remember I told you guys about when to stop? Don't forget that. Especially when you're on a second or third color. That's when you can easily do too much. And I'm at a place right now where it's like, it's getting close. I think I see the last couple lines I want to do, and then I'll show you something fun. How about that? I will show you guys the simplest, stupidest two things, not one, but two things that make people go, dude, that's cool. Stars and dots. That's it. Stars and dots. People love them. And they are two of the easiest things to do. You guys think of the new microphone? Big difference? I hope so. Really don't like editing these videos and hearing myself breathe the whole time. I know you guys don't want to hear it either. And I'm still learning, so we're still figuring this thing out. You ready? You ready for stars and dots? Okay, give me a second, I'll show you. All right, stars are like this. Down the middle. In the center. Like that. And like that. People freaking love those things. Stars. Yeah. And the dots, it's just the butt of your brush. That's all it is. Watch this. Put down some fresh paint. Take the butt of your brush. Dip it in like that. Go like that. And then watch this. As you go, they get smaller. How freaking cool is that? And you see how easy that was? Seriously. How freaking cool is that? People love it. I told you. People go, dude, I love your stars and your dots. And you go, man, if you only knew how easy those were to make. Boom, boom, boom. I think this is done. Did you guys learn something? Did you? I hope so. I mean, if there was anything you didn't learn, like I said before, here, let me lift this chair up. That's a little better. Put it down in the comments. Tell me, show me. Say, hey, sick boy. Tell me how to do this. Tell me how to do that. We'll work on it. And then the next episode, we're back to the tank. We are going to lay some paint down. And if I have to wait too long, then I might just go ahead and start tearing. I know I keep saying it. God, this is fun. That's fun too, but this is fun too. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you go check out my merch because there's tons of merch right now. I got t-shirts, and don't just get stuck on the t-shirt screen, because go click the little hamburger in the corner and you'll see a drop down where I've got hats, hoodies, sweatshirts, tank tops, stickers, banners, coffee cups, you name it. And I don't think you're going to find better prices anywhere else. So go pick up some Weird Beard swag, and yeah, see you guys next time.